Hello! In this video, we will explore variables and data types. A variable is the most simple of all Python attributes. You have seen it being used in our previous lesson when learning about PyCharm. A variable is pretty much the same as what you have learned in math class. It is a placeholder that can often be modified throughout the code. A common use case is when multiple parts of the code use a value that has not yet been determined. For example, when trying to add two numbers, we can have two variables like this, and y depends on x, which can be changed in the above statement. Right? So, simple enough. And just like that. Now, what if we set our x to something like hello? There's nothing stopping the program from executing, but how exactly do we add the number 4 to hello? If we run the program, we'll see. Exactly. It turns out that we cannot, since the data types do not match, as seen from the error output. So let's get into data types. Data types are variable classifications that describe the data being stored. They vary by programming language, but some like integer, string, and boolean are common across most object-oriented programming languages. Python has the following built-in data types. Numeric data types, which include things like float, int or integer, and complex number. Notice how they turn purple after typing them. This is because they are already built into Python, so Python knows exactly what we're talking about, and it recognizes the special keyword, such as float, integer, and complex, are data types. Additionally, we have Boolean data types. This includes bool, and we have sequence data types. So this includes things like string, list, and a tuple. Finally, we have a special data type for Python called a dictionary. We will exclusively cover the lists, tuples, and dictionary data types in ensuing lessons. First, let's comment out our existing code. We can select it, go to code, go to comment with line comment, or use the shortcut over here. Great. Now, let's dive into some examples. So for a float, it's basically an integer, so a number with a decimal, right? Something like that. For integer, it can be anything as long as it's a whole number, right? So 4 is fine. This is also fine. For a complex data type, it's pretty much the same thing as in real life. So you want to have part imaginary and part real, such as something like this. For a Boolean, it's pretty much true or false, right? So true or false. And it is important to notice that it has to be a capital F and a capital T, because if it is lowercase, Python will not recognize it. And for a string, we can either use the single apostrophe or a quotation mark to surround our words to tell our compiler that it is a string as such. Right, this is quotation marks, or you can use single apostrophe as such. Also, we can use a triple quotation mark, just like this. And these are all the exact same string. As previously mentioned, we will cover lists, tuples, and dictionaries in future lessons. We can identify the data type of a variable using the built-in type function as such. Notice how it turns purple because Python recognizes it without you having to define it anywhere else. The type is a built-in function. So let's see an example. We'll print it out. And we'll use something like our var complex over here and pass it in here. So if you run it, we have to remove our previous error. So if we run it, Notice it tells us it's a complex type. Additionally, we can convert the data type of an existing variable to a different data type, if possible. This is called typecasting. Let's see an example. So if we use, for example, our float variable, right? And we want to print it out. Let's comment this out so we don't see any other information. We see it gives us our float. However, if we add int and surround it in parentheses, this is another built-in function. This will convert our variable float to an integer if possible. So, bam, 4, no decimals. However, if we try to convert something like a string to a float, such as this, and we'll use our variable string, you probably can't really think of a way we can convert hello to a float, right? Like a decimal point number. So what's our program going to tell us? That's right, you can't. You get a value error. So this is why it's important to know what you can't typecast, because not everything is interchangeable within Python. So let's summarize what we have learned. We learned about variables. We learned about the basic data types, about the type function, which tells us what data type our current variable is, and about typecasting. And to typecast other variables, not just floats and integers as we have seen, we simply can pass this as what we see above, right? So Boolean for bool, as seen up here, string with str, as seen up there, and etc. Great work! In the next lesson, you will learn about lists, a very important data type in Python.